Shout out to our sponsor, Dollar Shave Club.
See why over 3 million members love Dollar Shave Club. They're so confident in the quality of all their products, and now you can get your first month of the club for free. Just pay shipping.
After that, just a few bucks a month, no long-term commitment, no hidden fees. Get yours at dollarshaveclub.com/know. Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Mica Burton.
Reboots are all the jam these days, and it sounds like Fox may be looking to pull one on its own biggest comic book franchise, despite being rebooted, rebooted, side-booted, future-booted, and let's pretend that the third one didn't happen booted. X-Men might be heading back to the chopping block all over again for a whole new kind of boot.
All the boots. According to the sources close to Fox, the studio could be resetting the X-Men films thanks to the departure of stars and recent production problems. Combine that with the rumor from back in the summer that initial talks had happened between Fox and Marvel, this is leading some to wonder if we've got a better possibility of the X-Men going back to Marvel and finally getting X-Men versus the Avengers.
Fingers crossed! Let's do it! Alright, this news story comes from The Hollywood Reporter, who chronicles the many, many troubles that Fox is dealing with right now in terms of its X-Men universe. They're reporting that while Fox is already starting to plan out a Deadpool 3, and why wouldn't they after the success of the first one, even if they have lost their director for second, they've also pressed the reset button for the X-Men proper.
Their inside sources tell them the flagship series will be reconfigured with Simon Kinberg, overseer of the franchise's producer and writer, working on a new script. Singer, who directed 4 X-Men movies, will not be returning, according to insiders, but the script was being written with Lawrence, Fassbender, and McAvoy optimistically in mind.
Losing Bryan Singer would be a fairly big deal for the series, as he's been one of its primary drivers since it first launched back in 2000. Singer brought the X-Men, and some would argue the comic book movie films in general, to life on the big screen with X-Men and X2. I mean, in many ways, he created the template for the modern superhero blockbuster that's so prevalent in today's box office. The Marvel films, everything that's happening with DC, love it or hate it, a lot of that stuff wouldn't exist if someone hadn't broken through. Because before that, you know, we had the Spider-Mans and the Supermans occasionally, but
we never really talked about those.
Yeah, and that was the first one as well that was like an encore. Like it was an ensemble cast. There were a lot of heroes to get behind. I mean, he really did a lot for comic book movies.
Thank you, Singer. Singer's been booted from the series once before, though. He got the axe in favor of Brett Ratner, who directed X-Men: The Last Stand, who directed the movie that doesn't exist, but came back to helm the mutant movies for Days of Future Past, and the most recent entry, X-Men Apocalypse. His departure isn't too big a surprise, however, thanks to the declining box office for X-Men Apocalypse, only $544 million, compared to Days of Future Past, $748 million.
It's kind of a disappointment, especially given what a huge tentpole Apocalypse was supposed to be.
Didn't people call it a franchise killer?
That did come up, yes. Yeah. I mean, although for a franchise killer, it's still $544 million at the box office.
Yeah.
But Singer isn't the only one leaving the X universe either, because it's also now kind of starting to lose its big stars. Some of that is for more normal reasons, like with Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine, which is to just, I mean, that character has been around for a really long time now, and he probably wants to do something else. And
also, how long can he stay jacked?
He wants to shave the sideburns?
Yeah.
Well, no, he can stay jacked as long as he likes. I'm all about that. But I'm happy for him to do it in new and exciting ways.
Yes. While benefiting from tons of early positive buzz thanks to its stunning teaser trailer, Logan is also going to be Hugh Jackman's final outing as part of the X-Men. He's basically been the heart and soul of the franchise for the last 17 years and is going to be a big problem for Fox when he's gone and when his abs are gone.
Right. In recent years, Fox has added the likes of Jennifer Lawrence, Michael Fassbender, and James McAvoy to the roster, but apparently they won out too. So there's another problem. They haven't exactly shut the door to returning for more films, but they've said they'd only do it together, all or nothing. So that's not going to be a cheap invoice for Fox if they want to get them in the next X-Men film. However, based on this new report, Fox isn't giving up on that possibility just yet.
All these fleeting money-making stars makes Deadpool 2 and the future of that character even more important, and now that the movie is in production, shambles as well. A few weeks back, word broke that the film's director, Tim Miller, who had a huge hand in that movie seeing the light of day, had left the sequel due to creative differences with star Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, according to reports, the two were in disagreement on the style of Deadpool 2. Reynolds wanted to stick with the action comedy tone established in the first film, while Miller wanted to try something a little bit more stylized. Apparently, the writers and other producers were also firmly in Reynolds' camp, which led to Miller bouncing off the project. But the composer went with him, so it wasn't just like all or nothing. John Wick director David Leitch is reportedly being tapped to take the reins now.
Deadpool 2 will no doubt recover from that setback, but it's definitely going to be disconcerting for Fox at this stage of production. So far, Deadpool is one of the biggest hits the studio has had in years. Its opening weekend ranks as the biggest Fox debut ever next to Star Wars Episode 3.
That's significant.
That's huge! They needed to succeed in order to keep their X-Men universe up and running, especially now that X-Men itself might be on pause and the multiple delays they've run into while trying to get a Gambit movie off the ground.
Oh, the Gambit movie.
Rest in peace, Gambit movie.
When you add this to earlier rumors and from the summer claiming that Fox and Marvel had started preliminary discussions about potential crossovers, things start to look a lot more interesting for the possibility that Fox might one day rejoin the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We could actually call them all mutants again.
Oh my god, wouldn't that be awesome? That rumor came by way of Matt Key, producer of Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman podcast, who said he had sources within Fox who were interested in what Sony and Marvel had achieved with Spider-Man and wanted to do something similar for X-Men.
Yeah, at the time he said that these were only very preliminary discussions and that any actual team up would probably be years away. Of course, that was before Apocalypse tanked at the box office and Deadpool 2 went up in flames right in the middle of pre-production.
And weirdly enough, that's happening across the board for every non-Marvel owned superhero franchise. DC's huge problems with turning huge superhero properties into bona fide moneymakers has been well documented, with all kinds of production issues affecting the expanded universe's creative direction. They've reshuffled executives, fired multiple directors on Flash and Wonder Woman, and just can't seem to get things figured out the way Marvel has, cough cough, all of their movies.
Although they keep making a ton of money.
Oh yeah,
They're just not garnering the same sort of critical support that the Marvel movies are.
Yeah.
Marvel, meanwhile, keeps cranking out hits that don't cost them nearly as much because they seem far less troubled. Doctor Strange just opened this last weekend to very respectable box office earnings, sitting right in between Ant-Man and Thor: The Dark World, which for a new property for Marvel is huge.
Oh, huge. So is there a possibility that this might happen and the X-Men movies go back to Marvel? We've seen it happen once before, but we do know there's interest. But it's probably going to be hard for Fox to walk away from where they've had proven success in the past. Both Days of Future Past and Deadpool were financial home runs for the studio, and they might be convinced that they're on the cusp of having another if they play their cards right. I don't think so. Fox, please give your shit to Marvel.
So that's gonna make Logan's performance in theaters especially important. Whether or not that falls flat might be enough to push them in one direction or another. I mean, all it took for Spider-Man to send Sony web crawling back to Marvel were two movies that did $750 million and $709 million at the box office with Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. So if $700 million movies can be a problem, then, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So anything's actually possible here. Marvel and Fox are already working on the upcoming Legion FX series together to bring the X-Men universe to TV. So we'll see where that goes as well. Please, Fox, I'm begging you, give your characters to Marvel.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll get to see Magneto take on Iron Man on the big screen someday in the near or possibly very far future. And it might even be a different Iron Man because Marvel is going to be dealing with their own talent fatigue pretty quick. I mean, there's only so long they can keep paying Robert Downey Jr. what they're paying him, right?
So true.
What do you guys think of reports that Fox is quickly resetting its X-Men franchise? Would you like to see them join the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And in what way? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on all things related to comic book movies, like this video and subscribe to The Know.
Thanks to Dollar Shave Club for sponsoring this update.
DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing razors right to your door so you don't have to keep using the same dull razor because it's a pain to get them from the store.
We all know how that goes. It's tough to keep the legs smooth. So they've got a whole lineup of razors as well, so you can decide just how fancy you want to get. Plus extras like Dr. Carver's shave butter, mint cedarwood body cleanser, this really nice amber lavender soap, or you could get creative.
You can get some peppermint tingly butt wipes. It's Gus's favorite thing.
That's like the biggest thing that he endorses, but they are actually kind of fun. Dollar Shave Club is so confident in the quality of all their products, now you can get your first month of the club for free. Just pay shipping.
After that, it's just a few bucks a month. No long-term commitment, no hidden fees. There's no reason not to do it. So get yours at dollarshaveclub.com/no.